All right, so I'm currently working on my European mount from the buck I just got, and I figured I'd just kind of document a little bit of the process and kind of walk you through some of the steps if you ever are interested in doing your own. So the first thing, obviously, is you got to get all the flesh off, get the eyes out, the tongue out, the bottom jaw off, and I didn't record that process because it is pretty gross. And YouTube might not even put this video up if I did. So. Um, for that, what I used, and I've only done this a few times, so I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but I found a carving knife to be very helpful. Just kind of carving a lot of the stuff off and trying to get kind of close to the skull. Obviously, you want to be careful not to cut into the skull, especially with a knife like that. But um, then just kind of like a razor blade knife to get a little closer to the skin, and then a pair of pliers, mainly for the eyes. And so, again, kind of gross, but it helps to be able to grip them and then just kind of cut in a circular motion around the socket until you can finally pull them out. And so, the hardest part's honestly the jaw. It's just a little bit tough to get detached, but you just kind of have to keep cutting away at, you know, the little spots that connect up at the upper part of the jaw and just kind of get as much of the flesh off as you can. If you also tip the skull up and cut you'll still have the bottom jaw attached, obviously, but if you cut all that stuff out from underneath, it'll be easier to get the tongue out, and it also does help the jaw come off a little easier. So I'd recommend that. Now, you're also going to want to do this as soon as possible, unless you're going to put it in like the fridge or something or keep it on ice. I couldn't do that with mine. And so we're going on, let's see, I shot this thing Saturday morning, and it is now Tuesday morning. It still did not smell yesterday. Today, it started to really stink. And so it was kind of like the longest it could go without smelling. It is really hot right now. It's the beginning of October, but it's been like 80 degrees every day. So if it was a little colder, might be able to last a little longer. But yeah, trying to get it done sooner than later is probably a good idea. Now, at this point, again, it's going to be something I'm just kind of doing as I have time. I'm not going to just get it all done at once. So, again, right now, I could either try to put it on ice or in a fridge or something just to keep it from still stinking because all the brains are still in there too, and got to get all that out. But that's going to be part of the next step that we're going to get to in a minute. All right, we're on to the next step here of doing a European mount. So I've got the turkey fryer all hooked up, and the nice part is if you have a pan for bucks, if it's the right size, or the pot rather, is you don't even have to tie anything up to keep it from sinking down. It'll just hang on by the horns. I'll show an image of one my cousin just did with a larger bucket and how he kept the horns from getting fully submerged. But you're simply going to fill the bucket with water to where it's above your skull. Take the skull back out, get the propane going, get the water heating, and then just once you get it to kind of a simmer where you're getting a little bit of bubbling, but not a full-on boil, and that's key. There's a little leaf that fell in there. That's all that is. But it's key that you don't boil it because it will start to actually break down the bone and it's not going to look as good. So you want to make sure it doesn't full-on boil. But once it's simmering, set your skull in. Obviously be very careful. And then I also took my tag off. I kept it obviously nearby just in case anybody rolls up, but I didn't want it to get melted. I had it attached on the horn, so cut that off. And yeah, I'm probably going to let this sit about 30 to 45 minutes, and then I'll check. I'll just take a look at it and probably just do a little bit of scraping with a blade or a brush or screwdriver or something. And then likely we'll have to put it back in and just repeat that process a few times. All right, well, I went ahead and turned the fryer off. And as you can see already, a lot of this is coming off really nicely. Just got to pick off some of these big chunks and then kind of clean things up a little better. One of the hardest parts is inside this brain canal. This is the only way to get to the brains. As you can see, there's stuff up in there. What I've got here for tools is just a screwdriver, flathead, razor blade knife, Cutco serrated knife, a pair of needle nose pliers, and the one thing I forgot is going to be a hanger as well. that I'm going to use to kind of try to get up into there a little bit better. But that's what we're gonna start with, and yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I did mean to mention that I'll link to the turkey fryer that I use in the description below. It's just a Bass Pro one, so you can check the Amazon link that I put and compare it to Bass Pro's price, see what's better. Unless you do a different method, you are going to unfortunately have to boil it. And so the turkey fryer just is an easy way. It's fairly cheap. But the other thing I'm going to link to is a brilliant idea that I just had while I was working on this. I've mainly been using these needle nose pliers for everything so far. So what you see here has pretty much all been with the pliers. I haven't really done anything with either of the knives. Same with the screwdriver. So really, this is what I've been using. Unfortunately, those don't fit into the brain canal and also inside the sinus. I won't show you in there, but there's a lot of stuff in there that is hard to get out as well. So I was just about to go grab my hanger, and I was like, man, I wish I had a way to grab the stuff that's in there and just pull it out. Well, it dawned on me that we have these massive tweezers, and so I'm going to see how this goes. I think it's going to be really effective. I'm going to link to these below if it is. So I'm just going to stick these right down in there. There you have it. That's the remainder of the brains. Just got it out in one pull. There's a little bit of stuff further up, kind of in the nose area that I'm probably going to have to boil it a little more to get all that. Just can't really reach it. Might still grab the hanger and try to kind of shove it all the way up in there, loosen things up, and then maybe I can get a grip with these. But that worked extremely well. Try that again in the sinus area. You don't really want to break up the cartilage in the nose much, so I'm trying to keep all that intact as much as I can. Makes it really tight space to work in here. Even with these tweezers. All right, so the nasal cavity was definitely tougher. The biggest problem was because it's all connected in there, and this is so long, I can't grip strong enough here to where I'm getting enough pressure here to get a good grip and actually rip it out. What I ended up doing was coming in from the front and kind of like gently pushing all the stuff back as much as I could and trying to loosen it up from in here. And then I went back to this side. I was able to at least get a good enough grip where I could kind of pull stuff up. And then I still grabbed these pliers because I could get it close enough to where I could actually grab them. And then got a better grip with that. And then was able to actually pull it and fully detach it. So still ended up working a lot better than what a hanger would have. And I think this is going to be my definitely go-to method going forward. Really worked well. Well, my phone ended up dying yesterday, but it worked out because I needed to stop working on it anyway. So didn't do anything else. Just kind of put this in a bucket of water with some Dawn dish soap. Just kind of cut some of the grease. And you don't have to do that, but it doesn't hurt. And yeah, we're just going to boil it some more. I think yesterday too, I don't know if I mentioned, I think it was boiling about 45 minutes before I pulled it out and scraped it off. So I'll probably just do that again and see if that's enough to get everything off. We'll see where we're at. I figured I'd just show you how to start up this turkey fryer in case you do end up getting it, because it's a little confusing. I had to look up a video myself, so just save you the trouble. First, you hit this black button right here, and then you push this in. It's going to be green. And then, oh, I was supposed to turn the propane on first, so do that first. And then you will just open this a little ways until you kind of hear the gas hissing. You don't have to open it all the way. And then you'll just stick your lighter in the hole, wherever the hole might be, and light her up. If you don't get it lit right away, I'd probably turn the gas back down and, just start over just so you don't get a bunch of propane in the air. But got a flame there, so it's lit. Then I'm going to turn it up a little higher now that it's lit and get it cooking a little ways so that we can get this water heated up. And once it's simmering, I'll put my skull in there. All right, well, I think I'm basically going to call it here for this video. I'll give you a couple last final tips as I sort of finished up cleaning this thing up. I'll probably just boil it one last time just to really make sure everything's out of there good. And I still want to run a hanger through it. I haven't quite done that. But so a couple things. There was kind of like a layer of, I don't even know, like just kind of sinewy stuff that was stuck close to the skull. I'm sure you could get some sort of wire brush or something like that to kind of scrape it off. I just honestly, with rubber gloves on, it's kind of gross, but I just used my thumbnail and just kind of scraped the stuff off, and it came off pretty well, and I was able to just kind of pull it off. That's just what I did. It was quicker and easier, in my opinion, and I just kind of used my thumb. So, worked fairly well. God gave us nails for a reason, I guess. So, the other thing I was going to say, though, is as far as the tweezers go, when I was getting into some of the stuff in here, in this canal, and in the, one sec, I want to break my skull, and inside like these sinus areas, up in here especially, there was a lot of kind of like membrane stuff that was flapped in there. I sort of did have to break up the cartilage a little more than I would have liked, but honestly, you're not going to be looking like up in the nose very much. I mean, the skull's going to be hanging like this. So as long as you keep this stuff intact, I kept it as intact as I could. But to really get everything out of there, I did kind of use these to break up some of the cartilage so that I could really get behind there. And then I would actually, what I was doing was grabbing the stuff, and I could not get a good enough grip to pull it out, but I was twisting these kind of like spaghetti, on a fork, and I would get a good twist on it and then pull, and it would pull it out. So that seemed to be a method that worked really well for that. And so I just wanted to share that with you as well. That's basically it. So obviously, takes a little time, but something you can definitely do yourself, as I just did it myself, and it's not too difficult as long as you get a turkey fryer or some way to boil it, and then just a couple simple tools and a little bit of time. I also just bought these little hooks for hanging the skull on. I've always done the plaques in the past, but I wanted to try this out, especially on this wall with the wood look. So it just kind of goes right on the hole over top and hooks on there like so. Pretty sweet. I'll link to those below as well. Well, hopefully if you're planning to do a European mount, this video was helpful for you. And like I said, I'll link to all those different things below in the description, the tweezers, the turkey fryer, and then the hooks as well. And you can check those out. I don't know yet if I'm going to whiten this one, kind of like this one. Maybe I will do a separate video of how to do that if I decide to. You can comment and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to hit subscribe. I appreciate it.